Good morning, everyone at the center, and good morning, everyone online. Uh, I like to believe that most people are good. I like to believe that most people kiss their pets goodnight and read just one more bedtime story to their children. I like to believe that most people visit their grandparents even when they have no time, and also stop by to check on quiet friends after a day that's too long and too frustrating. I also like to believe that most people return their shopping carts despite being already late, and also that some people with just one item cut in front of them online. I also like to believe that most people give money when money is scarce, and most people worry about people they don't even know. When the world seems very bad, remember, please, most people are good. Thank you.
Yes. I don't normally do a talk bringing props. That's more Pat Sayer.
Yeah.
But there was a need for this, and I'll tell you why. Because as spiritualists, we believe that if something shows itself 3 times, that you have to really pay attention. Lynn is going, yep, and the rest of us know, yep. So anyway, not in this order particularly, but last week, after Sunday service, we had our group talk. And I was in a very bad place, very, very bad place. And that's not unusual for me. Sometimes I'm like up and down, and I have my good days and I have my bad days. And probably if we check with Ken, he'd probably say they were more bad than good. Who knows? But I really was in a low place. And the group of us who were sitting here were very supportive. They did not necessarily say, oh, you're right, or stick with that, you're right, somehow whatever space you're in. They stated their opinions, and they said, but think about it this way, and they gave me room to think and room to grow with that, instead of it being either yes, 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 yesing me to death or whatever. And I valued that, because even though maybe I'm not back where I want to be, whatever the case may be, I realized what a support system that was. And when we got home, Ken said to me, I think, and he was being very kind, he goes, I think we monopolized that talk. And I said, you can say it the way it is. I monopolized the talk. But anyway, I was able to say to him that that's okay. And you said that to me. That's okay. That's where I was that day, and that's what I needed. And I appreciate all of you, because that's what you let me feel. I could rant, I could say whatever, and it was okay. So anyway, a little while later, maybe it was this past week, I went shopping, and I went with Pat, and I find this shirt. So that's why I have a prop today. And if you can read it, it says, I'm sorry, stronger together. I don't know if you can see the shirt. And I'm like, okay, well, that last weekend, that's what that felt like, stronger together. And then I go shopping and the shirt shows up, and all I could see was this shirt. I mean, there were 3,000 shirts, but all I could see was this shirt, stronger together. I haven't even worn it yet. That's why I was like, I'm just going to wear it now. We'll just bring it with us. And then the other day, I was reading something that fascinated me. It was a story about a young couple, married couple, who lived in Utah. They go to a university there. They don't mention which university it was. And they were both very involved in rugby and everything. So they were busy. They had their surroundings of people that they knew, classmates. And also the fact of just their community, their school, their academics, everything else. And all of a sudden, bless you. The young woman, whose name is Rio, finds out in the middle of her rugby season, whatever the case may be, she goes and she does a pregnancy test, and finds out that she is pregnant, and is shocked by this, because even though she was married, they had been married since freshman year, and now it's senior year, that was not something they planned on. And obviously it was, if you want to say it, an accident, but there are no accidents. So now they're in a situation of how do we handle this? What do we do with this? We're senior year of college. We have a lot that has to get done. And somehow their friends, their classmates, um, the people on the campus become involved in being part of their life in the way of taking care of this new child, Hinami, I think her name was, and they're now offering their time when they're not in school, and they're helping them to emotionally go through this, and really just a major support system for them. And as you read it, it became a circumstance of then church getting involved, this idea. Then it was a situation of family and other friends getting involved, and it became what they called their village. So this little girl, who's now 2 years old now, has grown up with different people being involved in her life, and knowing what it's like already to have a community at the age of 2. And the parents themselves have been so grateful for the blessing of those friends. I mean, you have to realize they're college students, they're young. At that age, most of us wanted to say, I don't want to take care of anybody's baby. I don't even want to, think about marriage or anything. But they were able to step up and be a part of that couple's life. And the couple was just so, so grateful. And as it turns out, they did help raise her. As I said, she's 2 years old now. And it was where they said the respect was on both sides. They respected what those people were doing for them, and the people respected their boundaries. Like they never said, I'm taking your child, or I'm going to do, they would say, what do you need? How can I help you? You know, they would give their time, they would give their attention, but they would respect the couple's privacy. And after I read that, I was really touched by that for the reasons that I've already said. First of all, they're very young. And those are the kind of things at that age that you really don't want to have to deal with. But somehow, and now I'm getting emotional, somehow they loved their friends enough to be part of their life and give them the time and attention it took to help raise a child. And that fascinated me. It just really, really fascinated me. So, okay, that was the other thing that called my attention to we are stronger together, and of course, then you go on, and once you read one thing, you start seeing so many other situations that are so very similar. And then there was another story about a couple who had close friends since they were in elementary school. Each one of them had, a close guy friend for the guy, a close girl, from the time that they were adolescents. And they were so close and so devoted to each other and so much love. And then they get older and they're married, and they even actually talked about how the couples came into each other's lives. The young woman who was the best friend of the girl, ends up being in a situation where she, along with the guy who's the best friend of the male, ends up where they make them an engagement party when they decide they're going to get married. Each one of them then becomes involved with the other. Follow me, stick with me, and if you don't understand it, raise your hand. So now they become involved with each other. So the best friend girl and the best friend boy now meet at this engagement party that they planned, or they're there, and they have their first kiss there, and they become, attached, and they end up getting married. So now the two couples have children. Each one of them have children, and they're realizing how much they miss each other. One of the couples lives in Boston, the other one lives in Washington, D.C. And they talk about the fact that the one couple talks about the fact that they did this kind of evaluation of how much in their lifetime their connection to their best friends would be. And they found out that their connection and their closeness with their friends was closer from 13 to 30 than it ever would be from 30 to 100. And that really upset them, that these people that they were so attached to and love so deeply were now in their years of getting, being true adults and raising children were not going to be part of their lives. So they talk to each other. They try, they're a distance away. They try to keep in touch, but they're missing that physical connection to each other and that support. So the couple from Boston decides we need to have this group. We need to have our posse back. So they end up selling their house in Boston and moving to Washington, D.C. And the couple in Washington, D.C. sells their house on the other side of Washington, D.C., and they find homes together in the same community. And the real estate agent's going, guys, what do you think the chances are that you're going to find houses at the same time that spiritualism? What do you think the chances are you're going to find that? Because along with them, one of the couple's brother and sister-in-law decided they're going to do the same thing. They're going to move into that community, into that neighborhood, and they're going to help to raise and support each other and the children. Now, they're not living in the same homes. They're just being a support system. But basically what they're getting out of that is the joy of having their friends back. And even though it didn't say it in the exact same words, stronger together. And they were just amazed at how, when they made that decision, because one of the women, the couple that moved from Boston to Washington, really was giving up everything. She had to change her job. She was working from home, but she was changing her job. They were changing a whole life, but they knew that what they were giving up was going to be more significant and more wonderful than what they had created. So in that, I'm reading this and saying, wow, that is amazing. What does it say about us? That, again, stronger together, but not only that, the relationships that you build are stronger when you're together. The life that you create is wonderful when you can look around and say, that person is meaningful to me. I want to be in that person's life. And I just thought, wow, those are really, really sweet stories. They're sweet, but they're significant to how we need to be living again, because I'm going to go back many years, and a lot of you can go back many years with you, others can't. That's how we did live. We lived back then by being closer to our parents. And that's not always a good thing, but sometimes it's a really good thing. Closer to our parents, surrounding ourselves with our friends, having a lot of laughter. And I was saying that to somebody the other day. I said, I don't know if it's just me, but I miss the laughter of growing up together with friends. I don't even mean when I was very, very young. I mean, even as a 50-year-old, a 40-year-old, where we used to have everybody onto the deck for a major barbecue dinner, maybe this time of year, maybe throughout the summer. And even though the workload was tremendous, because back then you made everything, you created everything, you still do, but I'm just saying, you created everything. But even with that, the joy that came from it, the laughter that came from it at times when you brought out the cake that you thought, because I'm not a Denise, I can't bake like that. But the cake that you thought was going to present itself as being beautiful turns out to look like the worst thing in the world, and nobody even wanted to try it. And you'd be like, like that. But you know what? Who cared? By that point, you let it go and it became a joke. It just wasn't that significant anymore. Or the times that you cleaned your house in a frenzy because people were coming all over, only to have something spill on the floor right before everybody came in. But still, there was always that camaraderie and that laughter. And somewhere along the line, something happened that changed that. People moved away from each other. There's a lot of career couples, and there always have been, but there are a lot of career couples, and you can't always be interacting with people because you don't have the time and you don't have the energy. But we are stronger when we're together. And we're stronger because we learn how to maneuver through life with feeling like somebody always has our back. And I feel to myself that can we create that again? I mean, there are times that we know we can. We go out with people, we laugh, but it doesn't come as easily as it might have come at one point, or maybe years ago, or maybe aging changes the pattern of how we look at things and how we do things and everything. But I I found that listening to those two stories made me realize that there's got to be a way back to creating that. I mean, you do hear about single women, single men, getting older and saying, you know what, this isn't working for me. Maybe we can get a house together. Maybe we can share a house. What brought me to this thinking was over the years, and especially as we get older, we think that it's supposed to be all about independence. Let me keep my independence. Yeah. Well, we want that. But can't we keep our independence and still have that support system and the camaraderie that lifts our spirit? Recently, a friend passed away, and that was my friend's close friend. So I was friendly with all them, close friend. And she keeps talking about her independence. And she's in a position where she's farther away from her kids. And, I got to keep my independence. And they keep telling me to come here and be with them. And I'm like, okay, do you want me to tell you what you want to hear? Or do you want me to tell you what I think is the truth? Her truth, my truth. Anybody listening to it would kind of understand this. I said, you're looking at your kids saying, I want you to come here, as robbing you of your independence. Did you ever think that maybe in the loss that they felt of the person they knew as well, they're thinking, I want to be around my mom for a while. I want to have that connection. Now, do kids in this day and age always say, Mom and Dad love you so much, want to be around you, please come? No, that's not the way it is. But I was trying to get her to see that you can have your independence. They can't rob that of you if you want that. You know how to keep it. But also, what they're trying to do is being stronger together. You're trying to say that on your own, you're good, you're strong, you're independent. But with us, if you want that to be, you can be even stronger, and we can help you, whatever the case may be. So afterwards, I went through that, and her and the two of us have been friends for a really long time. And she goes, like this. All right, I guess I see your point of view. And I'm like, okay, I'm not trying to force my point of view on you, but I'm trying to say sometimes we are stronger when we're together. And it depends upon who you choose to surround yourself with, that you can get that from. And it doesn't always have to be, somebody who is significant, majorly significant in your life, but people from your past that you reconnect with, or people that are friends and neighbors. And we have that in Florida too, where there's one woman who's not all that much older than me, but sometimes when we're together, we seem like sisters, older sister, younger sister, or we seem like mother daughter, just because we kind of know what each other needs at that point. So I wanted you to kind of think about that yes, independence is important. And sometimes we just think to ourselves, like, what do I need to be happy? What do I need to be healthy? What do I need to live the rest of my life in harmony with myself? And I still go back to the fact that if we went back to our parents' generation, for the most part, they did try to stay within their community. They did try to stay around their parents. Now, I know that's impossible in this day and age because people have jobs all over the place, but we are lucky enough to have Zoom. We are lucky enough to have cell phones attached to our bodies and ears and everything else. So we can be that support system for each other. So that was what I wanted to bring to you with the finding of the shirt, and with the gratefulness that I had for everybody who listened last weekend. And when Ken and I left, I kept saying, there would be a time in my life where I would have been very embarrassed by what I shared. I would have been last week. I would have been embarrassed. I would have felt afterwards, oh my God, what do they think of me? how will I ever face these people again? I can't come back to the center. I didn't feel that. I felt that everybody was there for me and helped me to be stronger with them, with whatever their thoughts and opinions were. So please take that today as, my assessing the situation of what we all need, but you may not. You may not need stronger with somebody else. Maybe stronger independently is fine. It's just that as we go on in years, and we've got some younger people in the back, we're addressing it to everybody. But as you go on in years, you do need your support system. And thinking that you can handle everything on your own, it doesn't work. It really doesn't. We have a granddaughter who's now going on 6 months old, and our son and daughter-in-law asked if they could go out to dinner last night with some friends. First time they've been out, I guess, for that amount of time. And I have to tell you, I was exhausted at the end of 4 hours, really exhausted. And I was like, how do people, how do grandparents do this where they watch their kids all day long as their children go to work? And I'm like, yeah, not going to happen with me. I don't have the energy level for it. But I saw them come home from that dinner, and our daughter-in-law, who's a little less animated and doesn't share a lot, said, thank you so much. It felt so good to be with adults and to dress up. And again, we're stronger together. So, take that, take those thoughts with you, no matter what it is that you're doing, and realize that independence is great and we need to be independent because we can't always rely on somebody else. But the thought of stronger together, I think, is a very important factor at any period of time in our lives, but especially as we grow older. Stronger together doesn't have to, and I'm looking at my breakfast buddies. It doesn't have to be a spouse. It doesn't have to be a relative. Stronger together with friends. I mean, these lovely ladies in the second row, holy cow, stronger together with friends. That's what your life has been built around, being stronger together with friends. Lynn, with your loss, and we're so sorry for that. You're talking about your extended family and your stepchildren, and there it is, stronger together. And that's what we all need to have, and we all need to recognize. So thank you for listening. Thank you for understanding. For the people who are subjected to, I'll say Ken and I last week, but he had nothing to do with it. To me last weekend, I thank you so much for being part of my Stronger Together, and put it out there to the universe that we all find that within each other, within ourselves, stronger together internally, individually, but stronger together with our posse, because I know I'm using that word because they are a posse. We have become a posse. You two are a posse. Just remember that we do need to be with each other. We do need to rejoice in our strengths and support of each other. And thanks again for listening.